If you grew up in the 70s or 80s, Chi-Chi's wasn't just a restaurant. It was an event. Picture walking through those doors in Minneapolis, 1975. Mariachi music playing over the speakers, colorful sombreros hanging from the ceiling. And that smell of sizzling fajitas, melted cheese, and fresh tortilla chips being fried right in front of you. Chi-Chi's brought Tex-Mex to Middle America in a way nobody had seen before. They didn't just serve nachos, they served mountains of nachos, loaded with jalapenos, sour cream, and enough melted cheese to make your arteries scream. Their chimichangas were legendary, deep-fried, golden brown, and bigger than your head. By the late 70s, they were unstoppable. Over 200 locations across the United States, lines out the door every weekend. They helped popularize dishes that we now take for granted. But here's where things get dark. Chi-Chi's wasn't serving authentic Mexican food. It was Americanized Tex-Mex, heavy on the refried beans, heavy on the fried foods. And as the 90s rolled around and people started demanding fresher, healthier options, Chi-Chi's didn't adapt. Then came 2003, a hepatitis A outbreak at a Pennsylvania location. Over 600 people got sick. 4 people died. The source? Contaminated green onions. The lawsuits were devastating, but even worse was the damage to their reputation. Nobody wanted to risk it anymore, no matter how good those chimichangas used to be. By 2004, every single Chi-Chi's location in the United States had closed. Do you remember your last meal at Chi-Chi's? What did you order? Drop it in the comments. Now let's talk about a place that invented an entire category of dining. Bennigans opened in 1976, and it basically created what we now call casual dining in America. Before Bennigans, you either went to a fancy sit-down restaurant or you hit up a fast food joint. There wasn't much in between. Walking into Bennigans felt like stepping into an Irish pub designed for American suburbs. Dark wood everywhere, brass fixtures, a long bar where you could grab a drink after work, and a menu that had something for everyone. This was the place your parents took you on a Friday night when they were too tired to cook but didn't want to dress up. This was where high schoolers went after the football game. And let me tell you something. If you talk to anyone who remembers Bennigans in its prime, they'll tell you the same thing. The chicken tenders were the best in the world. People swear by them to this day. By the 80s, they had locations coast to coast. Every suburban shopping center had one. So what went wrong? Competition. By the late 90s and early 2000s, chains like Chili's, Applebee's, and TGI Fridays were all fighting for the same customers, and Bennigan started to feel dated. The menu didn't evolve. The interiors looked stuck in 1985. Then 2008 hit. The recession. Bennigan's filed for bankruptcy. Most locations closed overnight. Today there are about 15 Bennigans still operating in the U.S., but people who remember the glory days will tell you it's just not the same. Here's a fun fact that'll blow your mind. Wags wasn't owned by Wendy's. It was owned by Walgreens. Yeah, the drugstore. It's the late 1970s. Walgreens is looking for ways to get more people into their stores, and someone had a wild idea. What if we opened a restaurant? And you know what? It actually worked. For a while, Wags filled a gap that most restaurants didn't even know existed. They served classic American comfort food, juicy burgers, thick-cut fries, roast beef sandwiches that people still talk about today. And here's the kicker. They served breakfast all day long. In the 70s, that was practically revolutionary. Imagine this. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. You just got off a late shift. You walk into Wags, sit down in a vinyl booth, and order pancakes, a club sandwich, and a milkshake. That was the Wags experience. But then the 80s happened. Casual dining started evolving fast. TGI Fridays came in with flashy menus and trendy vibes. Chili's brought Southwestern flair, and Wags felt safe, reliable, but maybe a little boring. They didn't innovate. By the late 80s, Walgreens started pulling the plug. In 1991, they shut down the last remaining Wags restaurants for good. Here's the tragic part. Wags wasn't bad. It just didn't evolve. And in the restaurant business, staying the same is the fastest way to disappear. Let's talk about the restaurant that should have beaten McDonald's. Burger Chef was founded in 1954, and by the 1970s, it was the second largest burger chain in America, second only to McDonald's, over 200 locations. They weren't just successful, they were innovative. Burger Chef invented the combo meal. You know the idea of bundling a burger, fries, and a drink together for one price? That was Burger Chef. McDonald's copied it later. They also introduced the Works Bar, where you could customize your burger however you wanted, and their burgers, flame-broiled. That smoky flavor set them apart. The Super Chef burger was their answer to the Big Mac, and a lot of people will tell you it was better. So if Burger Chef was so successful, so innovative, and so loved, why did it disappear? Mismanagement. In 1968, General Foods bought Burger Chef, and instead of letting the brand continue doing what it did best, they started messing with it. Food quality became inconsistent. Marketing got confusing. By the late 70s, sales were declining. In 1982, General Foods sold what was left to Hardee's. By 1996, Burger Chef was gone. Here's what kills me. Burger Chef had everything, but bad corporate management destroyed them from the inside. We're halfway through, and the next 5 get even more interesting. Do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below if you remember any of these restaurants. If you wanted to see a movie star in the 1970s, you didn't go to a premiere. You went to the Brown Derby. Founded in 1929, the Brown Derby wasn't just a restaurant. It was the restaurant in Hollywood. The most famous location? Shaped like an actual derby hat, sitting right on Wilshire Boulevard. By the 70s, the Brown Derby had expanded to several locations, including one inside Walt Disney World. The walls were covered with caricatures of celebrities who had dined there. Humphrey Bogart, Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe. Their most famous dish was the Cobb salad, invented by the restaurant's owner, Bob Cobb. It's still on menus everywhere today. They also served roast prime rib, fried chicken, and classic entrees that felt upscale but approachable. The Brown Derby represented an era, a time when going out to eat was an occasion, when people dressed up for dinner. But even with all that, legacy. The Brown Derby couldn't survive. By the late 20th century, financial troubles caught up with it. Younger customers didn't care about old Hollywood glamour. The Brown Derby filed for bankruptcy and faded from the spotlight. Wimpy's tried to make fast food fancy. When you ordered at Wimpy's, your burger came on a real plate. You got actual silverware. No paper wrappers, no plastic trays. They wanted to elevate the fast food experience. They served quarter-pounder-style burgers that you could eat with a knife and fork. And they had this quirky menu item called the Bender in a Bun, which was basically a sausage sandwich that developed its own cult following. But here's the problem. Part of fast food's appeal is the speed and the freedom. People like eating with their hands. Wimpy's was trying to fix something that wasn't broken. And the bigger issue? Consistency. Some locations were great, others were terrible. The experience varied wildly. By the end of the 70s, most Wimpy's locations in the U.S. had shut down. Beefsteak Charlie's was the place where you could eat until you physically couldn't eat anymore. This legendary chain became a New York City icon in the 1970s. Their concept was beautifully simple. All-you-can-eat steak, shrimp, and salad bar, plus unlimited beer and wine. Let me say that again. Unlimited beer and wine. It's 1978. You walk into Beefsteak Charlie's with $15 in your pocket, and you walk out 3 hours later, absolutely stuffed, maybe a little tipsy, and still with money left over. Every night felt like a celebration. For working-class New Yorkers, it was perfect. By the late 70s, Beefsteak Charlie's had expanded across the East Coast, packed every night. But the very thing that made it special was also what killed it. By the mid-80s, the all-you-can-eat model was bleeding them dry. Rising food costs, unlimited alcohol, massive portions. It was unsustainable, and quality started slipping. Longtime customers noticed. The steak wasn't as good. They stopped coming. By the early 90s, beefsteak Charlies had faded away. Here's the lesson. Sometimes being too generous can destroy you. Gino Marchetti wasn't just any restaurant owner. He was an NFL Hall of Famer. And in 1957, he decided to take a swing at the restaurant business. Gino's hamburgers quickly gained a loyal following across the mid-Atlantic. Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Their signature burger was the Gino Giant, and people compared it to the Big Mac, but many said it was better. But here's what made Gino's truly unique. They partnered with KFC early on, making them one of the first fast food chains to offer both burgers and fried chicken under the same roof. And because Marchetti was a sports legend, Gino's became a popular hangout for fans. But by the late 70s, competition was heating up. Gino's expanded too quickly, and quality control started slipping. In 1982, Marriott bought Gino's and converted most locations into Roy Rogers restaurants. Just like that, Gino's was gone. If you grew up near a Shoney's, it felt like an extension of your own kitchen, only with better pancakes. Shoney's paired the iconic Big Boy mascot with a towering double-decker burger and a warm, family-friendly vibe. It was part of the routine. Birthday, a graduation, a lazy Sunday morning. Shoney's had you covered. Their Big Boy burger was stacked high with lettuce, tomato, and that unforgettable special sauce. But honestly, the breakfast was where Shoney's really shined. Golden hash, browns, fluffy omelets, bacon, pancakes that soaked up syrup like a sponge. All-you-can-eat breakfast bars. Families loved it because you could fill up without emptying your wallet. But as tastes changed and competition increased, Shoney's started to fade. While Bob's Big Boy still exists in California, it's not the same. If you miss the old Shoney's, you're not alone. Red Barn had one of the most distinctive looks in fast food history. Every location was shaped like an actual Red Barn. Opened in the 1960s, Red Barn grew through the 70s with creative menu items like the Big Barney Burger. At its peak, over 300 locations. They even introduced a self-serve salad bar before it was common. But Red Barn had a problem. Identity. Was it a serious McDonald's competitor? A novelty restaurant? Even loyal customers weren't sure. Worse, food quality varied wildly. Some locations were great, others were terrible. By the early 80s, most Red Barns had shut down. Red Barn is remembered more for its quirky look than its food. 10 restaurants, 10 stories, 10 memories that millions of people still carry with them. So here's my question for you. Which one hit hardest? Which one brought back a memory you forgot you had? Drop it in the comments, and if you want more trips, down memory lane, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.